My name is Isaac. My stage name is Ika Akamai, inciting strength in intelligence. Yeah, Ika as in Ikaika, strength, Akamai as in intelligence. And that's pretty much what I try to do. I try to create compositions that are well researched, that are well thought of as far as a perspective that I'm trying to bring. Definitely the community is a driving factor in all of my compositions and all of my everyday drive. And I firmly believe that it's the generations to come that are going to make the most change. And so I try to bring the intelligence back to our community. A lot of our Hawaiian knowledge was lost due to ethnocide, the systematic and deliberate extinguishing of the culture. And I feel that by empowering individuals, they will come together and empower the community greater. Ethnocide, that extinguishing of a culture and their mannerisms and their spiritual connections and their ancestral knowledge through the loss of language. And we know that language is that fiber that binds us to our culture identity. And that is a driving factor in my teaching and in my music, kind of renormalizing, recontextualizing, revivifying language and kind of bringing it to today and making it a cool thing, a fun thing to listen to, a fun thing to get into. And while you're listening to it, then uh, you might hear a few words that you didn't know before. It might incite you to go and look them up in the dictionary. You might hear a wise proverbial saying that you haven't heard, and that might just kind of change your philosophical outlook on things. And I have gotten this feedback, and it is definitely a driving factor in kind of just restoring that cultural consciousness, restoring the language, restoring the mannerisms, restoring our spiritual connection to our natural environment, restoring these ancestral knowledge and ties that could have been forgotten in colonization and in this loss of language. So I have a kind of classical jazz sort of training, improvising and kind of reading music. And from that, I was able to get musical plays. So I would play bass in a musical, I would play French horn in a musical. And then I realized I could do this kind of professionally, and I kind of put energy into doing it just doing music. And I was able to play with a Jamaican reggae band, and it was through that that I was able to see what reggae is and the views of sovereignty, the views of struggle, the views of expressing your indigeneity through music. And it was through reggae music that I was able to travel America recently. I was able to travel the Hawaiian Islands to, I feel like, to its fullest extent. And then I kind of got into Hawaiian language, and I was able to kind of see um, how it's a different, just as I was saying about philosophies and kind of moral foundations. I was able to see a different outlook on life. And it was then where I started, oh, what if I make like a Hawaiian reggae type thing? Because there aren't much of that. And um, in Hawaii, everyone listens to reggae. It's the most widely listened to um, genre. And what if I were able to instill and kind of infiltrate this system that everyone's listening to, everyone thinks is cool. Everyone is playing ukulele down at the beach. Everyone is going to parties and singing with their auntie and their uncle. They're playing ukulele and playing these reggae tunes. And what if I was able to kind of infiltrate that with teaching and with kind of making compositions that are heavily researched. And so I think that was my teacher aspect of it, kind of doing my research and not just saying random things, not just making songs about love, not just making kind of superficial songs, but to, again, reenact this intelligence in our people and our music. Yeah. My musical influences are kind of drawn from two sides. When I think about like chords, rhythms, melodies, I kind of go back into like the Jamaican reggae vaults, the UK reggae vaults, definitely Bob Marley, Gregory Isaacs, Oswald, Sugar My Knot, um, and that style of music, um, because yeah, that was a definite foundation in my musical journey. But when I think about the elements of Hawaiian composition, I think about Ka'upena Wang, I think about uh, Palea Kuluwaimaka, Mary Kavena Pukui. Uh, Aipo Haku is a recent band that, in fact, they kind of ignited this thought of Hawaiian language reggae, and uh, because of that, I kind of bounce in between the two kind of styles of writing, um, but definitely drawing upon the melodies of reggae and some hip hop, definitely funk, not too much of the, yeah, it's complicated because I'm a musician, but I'm an artist. So I'm like, I kind of draw on two different sides for this, but yeah, if you, every day it's going to change. At the same time, I'm staying current with the artists in Hawaii and the artists in my community and kind of supporting them as they support me. I'm definitely about social conscious music in that I don't like superficial music, especially in Hawaii. We have this innate dependence on the oral and auditory system because we didn't have a systematic form of writing before colonization. And because of it, I feel like our local people, our community has this innate response to certain music and especially that of words. And so I definitely firmly believe in the power of words and just elevating consciousness through these words and through these ambiguous meanings in our words, through these through this music, we're able to show our feelings. We're able to express ourselves in a way that most platforms might not be as receptive to if I were to just give a speech as opposed to making a full length album. I'm fairly sure that people will pick up on the album and pick up on these rhyming, fun playing of wordplay before they'll go into my speech and kind of take that. So I definitely see music as that avenue, and especially that of reggae. Reggae is not a very complicated music. The chordal structure is very simple. The rhythms are very simple. The beats are very simple. The bass line is kind of like a laid back, kind of pulls the beat. It's kind of behind. And because of that, because of the simplicity of the genre, the words are able to be heard. The words are able to be further explored and kind of stand out more. And I do see that is how the composers of the 70s, when Bob Marley came to the sands of Kakuhiheva in Honolulu, uh, we see that sprouted composers and they started making music, local Jawaiian music, uh, in reggae because of all I was saying about the simplicity and because of the messages. So I definitely see music as a way to show indigeneity, a way to show sovereignty, um, a way to show spirituality, and a way that people can express themselves in a safe way and in an effective way. I'd like my listeners to be impacted with curiosity, just as I did the research to kind of create a perspective, create a context, recontextualize wise sayings, proverbial sayings. I'd like them to look into those words. I use the highest register of eloquence in my music as possible. And I do understand that it is not a conversational type of music, like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? But more of like a poetic register. And because of that, I know not everyone will be receptive, but I hope to ignite that curiosity. I hope to ignite that research because that's how we were. That's how our community was before. That's how a lot of cultures were built through this ingenuity and this research. And so I hope that my listeners will kind of experience that, and through it, they will be reconnected with their identity.